It was the night before their wedding, and I couldn't take it anymore, what was going on, and nobody knew what was going on in my life. It had gotten so bad that I was literally the drug mule for the high school because of, unfortunately, who I had been exposed to and surrounded by in where I was living at the time. And horrible men. It's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
And so it was the night before their wedding, and I just asked them if I could sit down and talk with them. And so sat down, I just poured out what was really going on. I just asked if they would adopt me. And without hesitation, they said yes.
Oh,
Like
man, what a what a lightning bolt of love. That's
the
awesome.
night before their wedding, like who does this?
Are you a hardworking dad, juggling family responsibilities while dreaming of building wealth through real estate? Welcome to the Invested Fathers Podcast, where we explore how to balance investing and fatherhood. I'm your host, Kenny Johnson, founder of East West Capital. Over the past 5 years, I've been buying real estate to free up my time and secure my family's future. Now I'm here to help you do the same. Join me as we navigate the real estate world together, building wealth and strengthening our families. As my grandma always said, East West, home's best.
Catherine Bell, thanks so much for being with us today. What a pleasure to just get to know you a little bit more. How are you today?
I am amazing. I'm super excited to be here with you having this conversation. This is one of the most important and critical conversations that we can have.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, if that doesn't get everyone excited, then I don't know what would. Catherine, we're going to go into your background, but I think I would love to just, you've been a speaker in some conferences I've attended. You've done a lot in the real estate world, but what has really caused us to be here together today is the story that you bring as a widow, as a mother of two who has 20-year-old twins, which that in itself I think is just something we could probably talk about the entire episode is how has that
Right.
been? But we're going to go into some of those harder times and what you've experienced. And I'm so thankful that you're willing to share from the point of view of, hey, this has been really hard. And I just thank you for being here. So let's just get started in that. Tell me a little bit about what you experienced, I think it was 8 years ago, that kind of completely shook your world.
Yeah, it was 6 years ago. Christopher and I had been married 18 years. And so I'm an immigrant. I'm from another country. All my family is up in Canada. And he died very tragically in 2018. And so it was not expected. And it absolutely threw our family into a tailspin. So my twins were 14 at the time. And literally overnight, I became a widow and a single mom. Yeah, without my partner, without their dad.
Yeah. There's so many factors of what crutches were you leaning on that completely went away when that happened. But I guess my first question would be the process of recovery. I know that probably took years and it's probably not even done yet. There's probably
But it
always going to be
never
a
is.
gap,
It's just
never ending.
it's something you never get over.
Yeah,
You never heal from. It just
yeah,
becomes a part of who you are in your journey. So when
yeah,
my husband died, I literally felt like my heart shattered into a billion pieces.
yeah,
And as I was picking the pieces up and putting back together, they just have never come back to, I'm not the same woman I was before he died.
yeah.
And the pieces just like things just don't fit the way they were before. And but I want to talk about that recovery period leading up to that, why we're having this conversation and why dads matter and why I wanted to be here to talk about all of this. This is a conversation, and I invite any men who are listening to have your wives listen to this as well. So when Christopher and I got married, I immigrated to the country. I was 26 years old, and he had a dream. And we took his dream, we turned it into a multi-million dollar company. So we were millionaires by the time I was 30. And during that time, discovered we couldn't have children. So we ended up adopting our children out of the foster care system. So we were very intentional parents from the very beginning.
Mhm,
And he always wanted to be a dad. So we adopted a boy and a girl.
mhm.
And so because I wanted him to have the father-daughter experience, the father-son experience, I wanted to have the mother-daughter, mother-son, like just I wanted all of it.
Right.
So we adopted our twins. They were 4 months old when we got them. And then in 2008, we sold our company, and we had been in a small way investing, but we had all our assets in one asset class basket. Okay. So that's a
Okay.
huge lesson I want people to get the danger of that.
Okay.
And not investing, but having all your investments in the same asset class basket. It was the same asset type. And then 2009, the economy tanked and my husband got really sick. We lost our entire portfolio because it was all in one basket.
Mm.
And in that time, it was devastating for our family. We ended up basically being homeless. And
Mm.
so I had to go to work to provide for our family because my husband was so sick. And so I was working 80 hours a week, burning the candle at both ends by coming home, taking care of my sick husband, taking care of my twins. It was brutal, but we still had to like figure it out and figure out all the things. And that's when I started investing and really leaning in because I had to figure out like what I was going to do to provide for my family. And
Yeah.
so I got into all the different types of investing. And fast forward, when he died in 2018, I had 13 streams of passive income. And
Oh,
it was money is like oxygen. The more you have, the easier it is to breathe. And the more you have and the easier you can breathe, the bigger the difference in the world you can make. And so when he died, I literally had the oxygen, the breathing room financially to take a year off and grieve with my twins.
hmm
Let
hmm
me tell you, we dove in hard
hmm
because
hmm
I had called around to a few widows and asked if you had to do the whole thing over again, and nobody wants that. What would you do differently? Every single one of them said that they wish they would have got their kids into therapy sooner. So within a week and a half, we were in therapy, all of us,
Wow.
and their kids hated it.
Yes, of course.
I didn't necessarily like it either, but we had because the only way around it
Man.
was so I just grabbed them by their hands and in a proverbial sense, and we dove in, we dove deep and hard and did the work. And that also came from like my relationship with my husband, in that him and I had an agreement that every single year of our marriage, at least once a year, we would do some sort of course together.
Okay.
So it would be maybe a business course or a relationship course or a parenting course. Like we were always very intentional about growing inside of who we were intentionally
hmm
to develop those skills and those muscles for him to be a great husband and a great dad, for me to be a great wife and a great mom, for us to be great business owners and investors. So again, when I understood, like, listen, you're not born with this DNA. We don't
Right.
pop into the world knowing all these things.
Right.
Nobody gets your childhood unscarred. So it's like we
Right.
have to go and intentionally do the work to heal our childhood wounds and then get the skills and tools necessary so we can go create an extraordinary life. So that was a relationship that him and I had. And I loved it. I love doing all the work as a man, and I get men don't talk about relationships, don't what? Oh, I don't want to go to therapy. I don't want to read a book. I don't want to like I get all that. But seriously,
Feelings.
get over
Boo.
yourself. Like, yes, you're human. You got them. You're not a damn robot.
Right.
So here's the thing. Like,
Right.
you got married because you wanted to be a great husband. Nobody gets married because they want to be a shitty husband. Nobody has kids because they want to be a crappy parent. We all have the best of intentions. And I always said to my twins, look, you didn't come with an owner's manual, and you certainly didn't come with the troubleshooting section. And I desperately needed a troubleshooting section when they were teenagers. And so
Right.
that's what all the books are. That's what all the courses are. That's
Yeah.
what all the community and conversations are. Those are the tools, the skills, the resources, essentially the best version of a training manual to navigate through, especially the prickly years with kids.
Of course. Yes. Let me backtrack just I think this will be really helpful. You had mentioned before we officially started, if you want to call it official, your upbringing. You were adopted,
I
and
was
you said that your relationship with your dad was extremely strained,
non-existent. Yeah.
and your relationship with your adopted dad sounded awesome.
Extraordinary. Yeah.
So, could you give us some insights on that? A recipient of two dads,
Yep.
and how that's sort of shaped your mindset of what a dad should be.
So I was born to a teenage mother. He was older, and he was non-existent in my life. And I went in and out of more homes than you can possibly count, went to 13 different schools, didn't learn to read till I was in the eighth grade. I did get straight A's, because I learned very quickly that schools don't want you to think, they just want you to get the right answer. And I knew how to do that. And I ended up raising my younger brothers and got them adopted by their fathers. And then I ended up getting myself adopted when I was 16, and it saved my life. And it was
16.
then that I went and had some really straight conversations with my birth father because he was non-existent in my life. And his excuse for being absent in my life was because his exact words were, I didn't want your mother's claws to get into me. It's, dude, here's the reality. Because he made that decision, I was in and out of more homes than you can count. I went literally days with no food. There were times we were literally homeless because he, again, wouldn't do the work, wouldn't put on his big boy underwear and do the responsible thing and man the hell up and provide for a child that he literally was a huge part of creating. Right? It takes two. And so that level of irresponsibility, arrogance, self-centered, self-serving, it's the damage was huge in my own life.
I mean,
And that
I
could
would
go on.
I would think the view of all men were this
Oh,
guy.
absolutely.
So a lot of
My point of view of men and families was and I told this, I remember that I was little. I always said I'm never getting married and never having kids because all I saw was that those relationships harmed children because I was literally one of those children that got harmed and my brothers as well. And so it was so devastating to me what this man, how he opted out of something that he created. You don't get to do that, right?
yeah,
So then, 16 years old, I get myself adopted. And then there's my adopted dad.
yeah. Tell me about him.
Oh my God. Uh,
It's okay.
he saved my life. Sorry.
No, don't be sorry. This is
No,
he completely radically gave you a whole new picture of life.
because of him, I was able to go on and graduate high school and go on to college and create this amazing life. And his love is extraordinary. So a couple of things. How did I get myself
So,
adopted? I was invited to his wedding, him and his new wife's wedding. And it was literally,
take a second. You're fine. Yeah. Nah, I love it.
it was the night before their wedding. And I couldn't take it anymore, what was going on, and nobody knew what was going on in my life. It had gotten so bad that I was literally the drug mule for the high school. That's a whole other story because of, unfortunately, who I had been exposed to and surrounded by in where I was living at the time. And horrible men. It's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
And so it was the night before their wedding, and I just asked them if I could sit down and talk with them. And so sat down, I just poured out what was really going on. And I asked if they would adopt me. And without hesitation, they said yes. Like
Oh, man, what a what a lightning bolt of love. That's
the
awesome.
night before their wedding, who does this? So then,
I love it.
it gets better. So then they get married the next day. It was a Saturday. And then Sunday was planned for all the family events and the brunch and the opening of the presents and just all the things. Literally, we have brunch, they open their gifts, and then they pack up and they drive for 12 hours to go and get all of my stuff to bring me back. Because Monday, they enrolled me into school and kept going. They literally canceled their honeymoon
Oh my goodness.
to take
Catherine,
me and
man.
be like, who does that?
You know what though? I know you're thinking, man, what a burden. But I can guarantee you, without even knowing the guy, they were so excited to be doing all this.
The joke is that I'm the favorite kid, so
Hey, me too. That's great. We can share that. That's awesome.
he walked me down the aisle. He's like, to me, they're angels. So
Yeah, man.
And somebody said, and I know this isn't a religious thing, but they're like, how can you believe there's a God when you've been through so much? And I'm like, how can I not? They're like freaking angels living
Yeah.
on this planet.
Yeah.
Like my life was saved because of them.
Yeah.
So the importance of dads is beyond critical. Like it literally, he saved my life.
What a beautiful picture, Catherine. And before we talked about your adopted dad, things looked awful for you. And I think
We're
that
awful.
that valley, if we want to call it a valley, it sounds worse than a valley, but only made the end of the story that much sweeter. And I'm so thankful for this dad. And let that just be a beautiful picture of loving somebody unconditionally, not your blood, but quickly made you their blood, I would say, and said, hey, we're about to get married. We're going to go do this thing for you. We're going to get you in school, and just selfless outpouring of sacrificial love. And
Yes,
I love
it's
that.
so perfect. Selfless outpouring of sacrificial love. Yes. But to him, it wasn't even a sacrifice. It
No,
was
no, they loved it. I know they loved it. The joy you get from, it'll sound silly to be like, they selfishly did this because they knew how much joy they would have from doing this huge act of love for you. So, and I want to
not
say
because
also,
of them that gave me like all of a sudden them and then doing the healing work that I needed to do. Because of course we got into therapy and just all the things. Like all of a sudden in my 20s, I woke up and I was like, wait a second, I can actually get the skills and the tools and have a loving family just like I had with them for a few short years. Oh my, like the world opened up, right?
yeah,
Being like, hell no, never doing. Wait a second. There's a
right,
whole other perspective on what a dad can be, what a marriage can be, right?
absolutely. I am a Christian, by the way, and I know you said this isn't a religious thing, but I see God's hand in all of this. And I want to also give credit to your gumption. I've known you very little, but you have red hair. So for anyone that's not watching you, there's a fire in you that is very real in a refreshing way. And your gumption to talk to them before their wedding. I don't know how many excuses you could have said to yourself about, no, I'm not going to do this. No, it's too much, pride, whatever. But you
It
were
took
at your
everything, but I knew my life was like, it was going to be over soon if something.
exactly. You were like, I've got to do this. And I think I keep hearing this message over and over the last few weeks. You won't make changes unless you feel pain in your life. And I think there's a huge danger of just coasting through life. I've mentioned before on this podcast, the book from Napoleon Hill, Outwitting the Devil, talks about drifters. You've read that, but just
Yeah,
the
several
devil
times.
uses drifting as like
Yes.
his main source of winning.
Yes.
So you are not a drifter, I would say.
That
And
book definitely made a huge impact on me for sure.
okay, yeah,
Reader, if you couldn't tell.
yeah, no, I love it. So we got the background with the dad, and just thank you for sharing all of that. Let's speak into, we're kind of piecemeal things together, but you went through this really hard thing with the kids. You said, hey, we're going to do therapy. It's going to be terrible, but I know we need something. You had already put some building blocks, it sounds like, in your life with your husband who's now passed away, but you're like, you know what, can't do this alone. We need help. So now we're fast forwarding, we're looking back now. We're saying,
Yep.
okay, how could this be avoided for other dads
Yes.
and families out there?
Yes.
Multiple streams of income, but go ahead and
Yeah.
just speak into that.
So if you look statistically, what happens is most of the time, the men take care of the money, the bills, all of that, and the wives are left to raise the kids and all of that, which is fine until it's not. Because statistically, what happens is if a wife isn't involved in the finances when he dies, she has no freaking idea how to pay the power bill. Like the devastation, the emotional devastation in itself is extraordinary. Now you're going to layer on having to figure out the financial devastation. Like, what the what? Don't do that. And statistically, what's interesting now,
Mhm.
women statistically make better investors than men.
Okay.
So here's the thing that I talk about with women, because with my Wealth Wise Women it's a nonprofit that teaches women this. So we call it SRA, same rules apply. And what it is for women is we are looking to create our family, these beings that we bring into the world to go off into the world and be well-rounded, productive, contributing members to society. So what does that mean? All the things that moms think about, and dads too, is like their mental development, right? Intellectually, their emotional development with their relationship with themselves, each other, family, friends, all that, their physical development, their financial development, and then their spiritual development, right? We're always looking at all those things and how do we bring all the things to do all that inside of understanding that's how, as women, I can only speak from a woman's point of view, we're always spinning those plates and like really creating our whole community around them to be amazing like that. That is the exact same skill set it takes to be a brilliant investor. So it's SRA, same rules apply. So again, same skill set to be a brilliant wife and a brilliant mom is the exact same skill set to be a brilliant investor and business owner. So inside of that, all of a sudden, now think about it. Yes, the husband, and let's face it, I always say men are like waffles. They focus on one thing at once, which is awesome. But women are like spaghetti. Everything touches everything. We need to talk about all. And so when you bring those two pieces together, it's beautiful, right? Because they laser focused on their thing, bringing the money in or whatever. Now she has the ability to go out and have all the relationships with all the people and connect with all the things. So now she can see from a holistic view, oh, wait a sec, we could be investing here, bringing passive income here. We could be investing here, bringing passive income here. Like these are the things that now women come, when you come together and you do this, the empire that you build for your family is extraordinary, but now it's also the impact that you're making. You know, from me, it's all our investments actually have an impact component to them. So when you understand that, all of a sudden, oh my gosh, both of you coming together and creating that is really beautiful. So having women lean in and having husbands and wives lean in to be able to do this together. And I guarantee every single time years and years ago, Christopher and I, we would teach Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University. And he always pointed out that in marriages, you always have opposites, right? You always have the free spirit, the free spender, and then the nerd who's like the saver and all about, there's in every marriage, somebody's a nerd, somebody's a free spirit. It always is.
Right.
And there's neither one is wrong or neither one is better than the other. But when you come together, it really is extraordinary what you create together, right?
Yes.
Doing it together and creating those streams of income. And the average millionaire has 7 streams of passive income. So if you don't have 7 streams of passive, not active, I'm not telling you to go start another business, get another job, stop that. It needs to be passive. So you look for who already knows how and has the passive streams of income that you can plug into and really be leaning in together and getting yourselves educated. And so that leads me to the next intentional thing that we did. So after Christopher died, Sarah and Jordan were 14 years old. So when they were 15, I woke up one night freaking out that they were going to leave home one day and they needed financial literacy and they needed communication skills and relationship skills. And Christopher was no longer there to be a part of it. So I was like, it was left up to me. What was I going to do? And so they were at the Darth Vader stage, you're so stupid, mom. You like all that, right? I'm stupid. I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, so I was like, look, this roof over your head, I paid for it. So this is a dictatorship. This isn't a democracy. You're going to come to the table and you're going to come with your homework done every second Friday. And we're going to lean in and we're going to do this. So for 2 years of the eye rolling, the Darth Vader breathing, like all the things. And we went through and we intentionally went through. We actually used Jack Canfield's Success Principles workbook and all that. But I had them play the Rich Dad, Poor Dad cash flow game. Over and over again. And of course, again, this is stupid. This is dumb. I don't want to be here, blah, blah, blah. So anyways, all that. Fast forward. Now they're like off in the world, flying around on their own.
Yes.
So my son's now a U.S. Marine serving over in Japan. My daughter's still floating around being a prickly 20-year-old. So when my son was 19, he had been in Japan for, I think it was like a year and a half at that point. Anyway, so he calls me and he says, Mom, I got myself into trouble. Dude, what did you do? So he's like,
never a good way to start a conversation.
Like, I got a really big tax bill. I'm like, You make $3 an hour. What did you do? Like, how big can this bill really be? He goes, no, mom, I listened to you and I did what you told me to do and I invested and I made $250,000. 19 years old,
Wow.
19 years old, living in another country, getting paid $3 an hour as serving as a US Marine, and still did that
Man.
because of being really intentional in my parenting and
Hmm.
teaching them cash flow, having them play the game. Because there's something very powerful in the game when you can make investing and financing everything fun. So
Hmm.
think about when Christopher and I would play it together, and we played it, the kids were still pretty young, but there's a cash flow for kids game that we would play with them. But when we engaged in family game night and brought that piece into it and made talking about money fun, made investing fun, made all of it fun, obviously it did something because my kids leaned in and this is what they're doing.
Yeah.
So it's again because we did that, because I created the multiple streams of income for our family, because Christopher and I were intentionally engaged around the finances and just all the things in our family. When he died, at least the financial piece was handled, right? And
Hmm.
so in Wealth Wise Women, we talk about the 5 Ds and we just say, listen, like you're going to go through one of them. And I pray to God you don't go through the others. But if you do, have your financial house in order. So at that, if you deal with any of them, you're going to be okay. It's death. We're all gonna deal with death. Unfortunately, sometimes there's divorce. Sometimes there's diagnosis, like there was with Christopher. He got really sick. Sometimes there's downsize because of the economy, and sometimes there's being dumped from your job. But when
Hmm.
you have 7 streams of passive income minimum, any of those hit you, you're going to be okay financially so that now you can have the breathing room to deal with it mentally, emotionally, physically. So again, I really want to encourage dads to lean in with your wives and with your children and literally be a part of intentionally creating the culture in your family where you are openly talking about investing, openly getting educated about money and how it works and all the different ways. Open your mind. And again, I got men don't like change. I get that. However, pull your heads out of your butt and get yourself educated, but do it in a fun way with your entire family. Because
Right.
listen, you're here to protect and provide. I get that. And this is how you protect and provide for your family
Yeah.
by pulling your heads out of your butt, getting yourself educated, intentionally leaning in and doing the work and having fun, but doing it as a family,
Yeah.
right? Not just you as this lone wolf. Dude, stop that.
Thank you, Catherine. I think if I could break it down into like simple, actionable steps, really for me at least, it's bridge that conversation with your wife first.
Yes,
Just start there.
yes.
At least in my, everyone has their
And
own.
share my story.
Yeah,
Like the
right,
devastation of so many widows
right,
that didn't have this,
right.
like it's crushing.
Yeah. But I hear all the time, workout buddies, family members, oh, finances are his thing or her thing, whatever it is, but it's not a us thing. And I know that's one of the like
Needs to
building blocks
be.
of Dave Ramsey and these
Yeah,
marriage counseling, like the money part of it. But you're with Wealth Wise Women, I think is what you had called it.
yep. We have a
You go super deep. The 5 Ds, I think those are great because who wants to talk about the 5 Ds? Nobody. It's sad, it's depressing, it's what ifs. Well, let's
right,
just live for today. But what happens if we do this? It's like talking about insurance. Like no one likes talking about insurance or paying insurance, but
right.
when something bad happens, you're thankful you talked about it or you signed up for it. So I think that those would be my biggest takeaways from our audience is start with that conversation with your wife and then include in there the 5 Ds of the what ifs and making it fun. I think I haven't played that cash flow game. I read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad years ago. I actually read it twice. I think everyone's read it, right? But when I found out about the game, I was like, oh, this is, I don't know, for someone else. But now I have an 8-year-old at home and probably never too young to start, right? I think you were sharing a story
Well,
about a community
yeah, and
group.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. There's you meetup.com, you can go and you can look up cash flow. There's lots of groups that get together and play cash flow. So I'm really passionate about this. So I'm leaning in more with my whole community now that I have more bandwidth. My twins are off doing their thing, so I can now do this with other families. And I partnered with a local health club here. And so we are getting together with the whole community and creating cash flow nights where the whole family can come together and do this. So my business partner, she's got two sons. One's 11 and the other one is 6. Anyway, the 11-year-old, this is comical. So he comes to the games. And the last game, he's like, Mom, I gotta play with Catherine. I want her to teach me. So, anyways, so I'm like
You're
in
the
there
legend.
all in. I'm like leaning into this kid hard, having him like really think through the numbers, really understand this. And he did. I'm teaching him creative financing. I'm teaching him how to do like these loans and bridge loans, like just all the things around investing. The kid, 11 years old, okay? He ends up getting out of the rat race and his monthly check was $600,000 a month. Like that kid is full on addicted. Okay, so now he goes to school and he's having a whole conversation with his teacher. And he's saying to his teacher, can I lend my friends money? Like now he gets, wait a sec, I can create, like he's already 11 years old connecting the dots, how he could be making money and doing this.
Oh
But his
man.
mom has him investing in different deals and again, just super thing. And now the younger like brother is, wait, I want to come play. And it really is. So how I play it is I want them to be excited about the game. So
Mhm.
when the game first came out, you could only write it down on pen and paper and stuff, which is great. However, it takes the fun out of it initially. So, how I have them play the first couple of games is there's an app on your phone. So you have the board game, but then you have the app on your phone so that you're playing with the app at the same time. And there's something so magical about it that you cannot help but have an enormous amount of fun and seriously get addicted. Like one of the restaurants we partnered with, he came in and we had him play, and all of a sudden he was like, oh my God, this is amazing. He had a friend of his bring a bus full of teenagers from the high school in, and he had me come in and we played the game with them. So you got 30 some odd teenagers who were all like Darth Vader, eye roll, all that, right? Like a whole room
You're
of
like,
them.
I know you guys. I'm
By
about.
the end of it, these kids were on fire.
That's hilarious.
They were so excited and leaning in. So that's the point is I make it really, really fun the first few games. And then once they get the fun of it, now we're going to actually do it on pen and paper so you fully understand what's really going on. Because the whole purpose is to teach you how to read your balance sheet. And then what you do is, and this is what Christopher and I did, is you take that worksheet and then you put your real numbers into it
Mm,
for life. And that is how we created 13 streams of passive income
wow.
because it literally walks you through this is what you do to create the passive streams of income.
Yep.
Like this is how you make it fun. Then
Right.
you teach the balance sheet. Now you apply it to life.
Yeah.
It's a really simple process to walk you through that, but you got to get out there and do it, right? I
Yep.
always tell my kids, I don't care what you know. I only care what you do, right? For all their dads
Oh
out there.
man.
I know
Yes.
you know all this. I don't care. Knowing is the booby prize. It's only what you do with your
Mm,
wife and your kids and engage, right?
yes.
And be a fun dad. You
Yes.
know, we always joke that Christopher was Disneyland dad. Be that fun. Dads bring fun, right?
Yes. Yes.
And be that fun and show your kids like oh my gosh, this could actually be fun. Because now it's again, because men are providers and protectors, then the sons get to see, oh my gosh, providing and protecting is fun. The daughters get to see, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Having my future husband have
Mhm.
fun providing and protecting, and how
Mhm.
it can all come together and just be this beautiful experience for everybody in the family, right? Because with kids, it's what's caught, not what's taught.
That's right.
So, what are they catching around growing intellectually? What are they catching from growing emotionally, right? What are they catching from growing physically, from financial and spiritual? What are they catching from your actions?
Absolutely. And I don't think I've had anyone on the show yet that has said, be a fun dad. That's just one of the things that I feel like maybe we just assume we're fun dads, but we're probably grumpy dads. Let's kick it up a notch and make things fun,
Right.
especially when we're trying to teach.
And especially make things fun around finances.
Yeah.
Make things fun around growing intellectually. Make things fun around growing emotionally. Imagine if it was fun for you.
Right. Oh, that might be better than not fun, right? Or boring or painful.
And
That's
that's
so
exactly the
good.
thing. Ask a better question, you get better answer. Rather than being like, oh my God, why do I have to do this? It would be, what if you said, what would it take for this to be fun for me? What would this take for this to be fun for my family? If we just shift the question a little bit, all of a sudden the trajectory of it changes dramatically for everybody involved.
The effectiveness. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to be a martyr. Get off the damn
Right.
cross. Lead the way.
Right. Right. I'm a father of young kids, but I think we have to adapt our level and or our effectiveness of training our children, of raising our kids, investing into our kids. What are we investing today? And is it the same as it was 5 years ago, or is it something different now? Because now our kids need something different.
Different chapter.
Yep. And I love that as your kids have, like you said, pushed their way out of the house or are gone, you've shifted now to other people's kids. So
Yeah.
that sense of, as I reflect just on your whole journey, the impact that was made to you from your foster dad or your adopted dad left such a mark in you. Obviously, you had to put the pieces in your own life together first, figure out how to do life, and then I think light bulbs came on of, oh, now I could be a family. I could have my own family now.
I
Where
could
before
learn
you were like,
this. Yeah.
we're closing this door. That door is opened, and now that door swung wide open to as many families as would let you into there to reach their kids. So,
Yep.
Catherine, thank you so much. I'm going to let you have the last word here. Maybe a final key takeaway. You've given us so much, but give us one thing we can leave with dads today, and then let us know if our audience wanted to follow you, keep up with what you're doing. The Wealth Wise Women sounds awesome. Maybe give us just a quick plug into how we could keep up with you.
Absolutely. Here's the thing, gentlemen, you need to understand. You need to understand that dads not being a part of their children's lives is not an option. The absent dad, the ripple effect, the negative ripple effect on that child for the rest of their lives, and I speak from experience, is literally devastating versus the impact of an engaged dad who really leans in and is vulnerable and learns all the things along the side of their children. The ripple effect of that is exponential. So we get to choose. So for all those dads out there, thank you for being intentional. Thank you for leaning in. Thank you for talking about the hard things and being an intentional dad. For those dads that just haven't quite got there, I implore you seriously, pull your heads out of your butt and engage. I got it's uncomfortable, but I don't care. Those children didn't have an option. They didn't have a choice to come into this world, but you 100% have a choice to lean in and be a great dad and a great man no matter what. And I know at the core of your being, that's who you are and that's what you want to be. So do the uncomfortable thing and lean in and be an extraordinary dad that grows children to go be productive, contributing members to society. Like really. And thank you to all the dads who are. Like seriously, without dads, oh my gosh, we need our dads fully engaged. Absolutely. And then
Amen.
how people can follow me. I am on social media. There's Catherine Bell is a famous actress. That's not me. I'm the other cat. I'm Catherine the Great.
Okay.
So it's my company is Titan Impact Group, and I do have a book that we can give everybody. It's about in investing in impact, right? Like you can do good and do well at the same time. So I'll give you that link. You can share that with them.
Excellent.
So yeah, I'm happy to be here. Please have your wives listen to this, lean in. I want to connect and have families just work together to create those multiple streams of passive income because you never know if any of the 5Ds are going to hit.
Catherine, thank you again. Such
Thank you.
impact just on me. I think I have to brag on, or I like to admit, the recipient of these conversations is such an impact on me personally. And I know that those listening, you have struck some chords. So thank you so much and for bringing
Thank
that fresh
you.
perspective. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Invested Fathers Podcast. If you liked this episode, we would love for you to click subscribe and leave us a 5-star review. We appreciate all of your hard work as a father and look forward to our next episode together.